Rudy's revelation.
Hey everyone, welcome to today's episode. It is Tuesday, November 25th, 2025. So James Comey and Tish James, their cases are dismissed on a technicality as the empire tries to strike back. The establishment is striking back with a rogue judicial interventions as usual and planned sedition in the military. The Republican Party is helping with a divide and conquer strategy, driving out MAGA by playing on egos, including Marjorie Taylor Greene. So, as I mentioned before, so I'm trying to fix some technicalities here that is not working. So I'm going to try to fix it as we move on during the program here. So don't forget to engage the channel, like, subscribe, leave a comment, share the podcast. I'm live streaming every day, Monday through Friday. I might have a Thanksgiving Day episode. We'll have to see about that. So now I'm getting some sort of feedback here. So God help us. So we'll see if that fixes itself. So we got a bunch of headlines to get through today. So why don't we just get to it? Read the news. Before, I'm going to start out with the National Review. James Comey and Letitia James cases go away for now. So I'm trying to fix NBC some News technicalities here. Judge dismisses cases against James Comey and Letitia James after finding prosecutor was unlawfully during the program appointed. Was she really? So what you're not hearing on the news is the fact that this is a technicality. It's not arguing any merits of the case whatsoever. Letitia James is guilty, obviously, because she did commit mortgage fraud. There's no other way around it. And James Comey is obviously guilty as well for leaking classified information and lying under oath. So this prosecutor, Lindsay Halligan, was appointed after President Donald Trump and Attorney General Pam Bondi moved to prosecute the former FBI director and the New York Attorney General. Bondi says Monday that the Justice Department will appeal the judge's ruling or make a new case. Like I said, this is a technicality, so this is weak. Very, very weak. Fox News has the headline during the program, further legal scrutiny from Trump administration criticizes fools who would frighten us. So Trump administration, what you're not hearing on the news is the fact further legal action following Monday ruling. Like I said, it's a technicality. James Comey is indignant. This is not surprising from him. He is an agent of the deep state, the elite, the establishment, whatever you want to call it. And he deserves to go down for a number of different reasons. I mean, he was presiding over Crossfire Hurricane. He admitted he sent agents to a neophyte administration hoping to entrap somebody, particularly Michael Flynn, And so this is very worrisome. If this is how your domestic law enforcement, the domestic secret police act after someone they don't like, obviously, is elected to office. Yeah, I don't know what that is. I'm getting a delay on another channel, and then I don't know if it echoed in the beginning. So, like I said, I'm trying a few different things here, and so they're not quite tested. So if there are problems with audio, whatever, please hit me up on the live chat. Next, James Comey, the Wall Street Journal. James Comey and Letitia James case is dismissed from blow to DOJ. He is a agent of the. Like I said, I don't know if it's a blow necessarily to the DOJ. A judge finds Lindsay Halligan, who led the prosecution of the two presidents' perceived adversaries, that's not the reason, wasn't properly appointed. It's a technicality. Not arguing any merits of the case whatsoever. And so everybody's jumping for joy. All the leftists are, this is very funny. It's a technicality. It's a procedural technicality. It has nothing to do with any of the merits of the case, whether or not these people are guilty or not, or what. Just going to check something here. There's like a delay on this channel. Yeah, I don't know what that is. That's weird. Anyway, we'll see if that comes through on the recording or not. I kill that channel. I don't know what that. I loaded an extension here, and I was guaranteed that all my apps were supposed to work well together. They're not. Again, who led Fox the News, Jonathan Turley, from lawfare to law flop, wasn't properly appointed, could rise again. It's a Trump technicality. Not arguing James Comey and Letitia James were dismissed Monday without prejudice. And so everybody's jumping for joy with Judge signing all the leftist social media. This is very funny. It's a technicality. That's very strange. I don't really even understand that one. I don't even understand what that has to do with what Trump, the president, says on social media, how that has any bearing on the case. Yeah, weird. I'm having some tech shit going on. Federalist Comey James escaped justice for now thanks to judicial coup against presidential power. Indeed, this is the case. Anyway, we'll see if that comes through on the recording or not. The judicial coup pounded the separation of powers once again on Monday with liberal Judge Cameron Curry's haughty dismissal. I loaded federal extension indictments. Here, I was. Quite clearly, and will almost certainly be reviewed. That's very strange. Chamberlain, senior counsel at the Article 3 Project, wrote in a post on X. Like I said, we shouldn't be surprised at this at all. To be honest with you, we'll have to see how it pans out. I mean, this is really all part of the establishment. And I always say that socialism is a conspiracy and a contagion, which it is, but is the establishment part of that? That's the question. I think they use nationalism at certain levels to try to push through the establishment's needs and wants. And so people might unwittingly be going along with the conspiracy. Maybe they know, maybe they don't know. I think unwittingly, whether or not socialism, UBI, global governance, etc., in the wake or before, to preface the singularity, the unleashing of AI and humanoid robotics, etc. Right. Other big headline, obviously, that we're still stuck on here is X. The Wall Street Journal. Pentagon investigates misconduct allegations against we shouldn't Democrat be surprised Senator Kelly. At this at all. Review comes after retired Navy captain appeared in a video with other lawmakers telling military members not to obey unlawful orders. And that's the wrinkle. I mean, that's where it's their safety. No, we're telling people not to obey illegal orders, even though they can't pin down what illegal orders were given. So they made this kind of odd statement referring to what? Referring to the strikes on the boats in the Caribbean? So you get new tech and then, you know, it's giving me prompts to do X, Y, Z. And I'm not sure what's going on with OBS. Like I said, I have this other channel and it seems to have a delayed, my voice track delayed. So I'll have to listen to it when I get back, or listen to the recording or replay the live stream and see what it says. New York Post has a headline. Here is X. The Wall Street Journal probing serious allegations of misconduct. Like I said, we shouldn't be surprised Kelly. This statements after Trump accused after retired Navy captain appeared sedition. In the video. This is what it is the reason it's sedition is you can't have people, first of all, you can't have officers within the Army saying don't obey the chain of command. That's not how it works. If you have an issue in terms of what order you think you should follow and should not, if it's clearly illegal, like if you're asked to shoot civilians or something, which you know that's not legal, yeah, you could disobey. But if you don't know whether something's legal, you're supposed to address it after the fact. As they said there, you could go to JAG, whatever. But you don't, when you're given an order, you don't go, hold on, I got to make a phone call here. And the whole thing is to sow doubt whether Trump's orders are legitimate or not, because they don't believe they are. There's some discrepancy about the drug boat strikes, whether they are, whether they're not. Realistically, it's within the powers of the president to do that. So I have this issue here that is driving me crazy. So I wish I could. Yeah, I can't do it. I used to be able to pop out. Yeah, so there is some issue with that. With the recording, with the stream today. I don't know. Fuck, I loaded something up there and you know, I don't know what's going on. So I don't know if this track, if you can hear it now, or if it had just with that track on, which I don't know why that's happening. Like my brother couldn't understand. He's like, what do you mean you got to set up your computer? I'm like, because you try to do things that they say the computer could handle, but it doesn't. You know, it's all these other glitches and shit. And I don't know why that. It's just OBS and some of this other software aren't working together. So let's move on to some other headlines here, not concern you with that. Let's go back to this New York Post story. The Pentagon launched a probe Monday into serious allegations of misconduct against Senator Mark Kelly that be able to pop out court-martial proceedings just days after President Trump accused the Democrat of seditious behavior. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth indicated that so the investigation issue with follows a recent video. Senator Kelly, a Democrat of Arizona, and 5 other veteran Democrats cut imploring service members to refuse illegal orders. The video has drawn Trump's wrath and accusations of treason. You can't do that. If this was wartime, they'd be put in prison. You can't do that. You just can't. And the reason is, it's got a broader reason. It's an intelligence psyop. All these people are sheep-dipped. And the purpose of the intelligence psyop is not just directed so much at military service members as it is the public in general, because this is how Trump derangement syndrome affects people. They hear something like that, and they immediately think all the orders Trump is giving the military are illegal, which isn't the case at all. Headlines here. Federalist Pentagon could recall Democrat senator for court-martial over seditious. Let's go back to this video. New York Post story. Now, as I mentioned before, this is what happens is Mark Kelly would be recalled into the service because they can do that. And then they would proceed with court-martial. So they would court-martial him. So there would be some sort of repercussions for his actions, because even as an ex-service member, there's certain rules, ethics you need to abide by. Moving on, orders. The video has drawn Trump's wrath and accusations of treason. Just the news, Senator Gallego, a Marine vet, do that. If this was Pentagon of consequences for they'd be going after sitting senators. You can't do that. Arizona Democrat senator, and the reason is, so the other senator from Arizona, Ruben Gallego, it's an intelligence warned military members that there will be consequences for going after the intelligence psyop. Is not just directed so much at President Trump leaves office members as it is the public. Goes on to say, the story goes on to say that Gallego's statement followed the Pentagon's announcement that it was reviewing allegations of misconduct against the Arizona Democratic Senator Mark Kelly after he and other Democrats participated in a video urging troops to defy legal orders. Kelly, who was a U.S. Navy fighter pilot before becoming an astronaut, retired at the rank of captain, so he could very well be busted down to lieutenant. Gallego said that he believes the U.S. military and the justice system will handle Kelly's case properly. So he is vowing retribution when Trump leaves office. And this is what should worry most MAGA and most people that on the right. If you think the establishment's done with you, you think that the leftists aren't going to come for you full force when Trump is out of office, particularly if he loses power in the midterms, particularly if Republicans aren't reelected in 2028, there will be a reckoning. Story goes on to say, though, it's an intelligence Trump military members that gone in a couple of years. Gallego said of the intelligence military that is going after not just directed so much when President Trump leaves office members as it is the weaponization of the government. There will be consequences. The story goes on to say that Gallego's statement followed the Pentagon's announcement that it was reviewing allegations. There's going to be a lot of officers that will be part of this potential tribunal if he and other Democrats will be looking over their video, urging troops to defy their shoulders. Because Kelly, they don't want Donald Trump, a U.S. Navy fighter they know that Donald Trump will be an astronaut, retire at the rank protection. They're going to have to do the safest thing possible, which is follow the Constitution of the United States. Gallego said that he believes the U.S. military and the justice system will handle Kelly's case properly. Yeah, I don't know. He's threatening exactly what he's accusing the Republicans of. He's saying that we're going to go after you after you do this. Follow the Constitution. They're not following the Constitution, right? The problem is with Democrats, they keep saying, follow the Constitution, but they're not. First of all, you want to go to the supremacy clause. So The Democrats in their states are trying to resist the powers of the federal government. That's unconstitutional. Their president, supposed president, illegitimately elected Joe Biden, did quite a few unconstitutional things. And then when the Supreme Court ruled against him, what did they do? They kept on with their unconstitutional behavior. And then people like Jasmine Crockett are talking about stacking the courts because they don't like the way the Constitution is interpreted. So for Democrats to go down this road, I think for them it's a slippery slope because plenty of them have said before, we don't like the Constitution. Well, they don't like the way it's interpreted. So for them going constitutional this, constitutional that, and they constantly talk about democracy and not a republic. Democracy is a process. It's not a way to govern. More news from PJ Media. Right? The problem is with Democrats, with Elisa Slotnick follow the Constitution. Classic study in Democratic doublespeak, but they're not. Group of Democratic lawmakers recently released a video telling military intelligence or personnel to refuse. First of all, you want to go to the supremacy clause. I mean, so the Democrats in their states are trying to resist the powers of the federal government. That's unconstitutional. Their president, supposed president, mentioned illegitimately elected Joe Biden. Clear. Did quite a few unconstitutional things. And then when the Supreme Court accusing them of sedition at the highest level, saying that their actions were punishable by death, the situation quickly escalated behavior into a heated political firestorm. People like Jasmine Crockett are talking about stacking the courts because they don't like the way the Constitution is interpreted. Every time Trump says or does something, for Democrats to go down this road, I think for them it's a slippery slope. Because plenty of them have said before, we don't like the Constitution. They don't like the way it's interpreted. She admitted that she was not aware of any illegal constitutional orders. This, constitutional that, and they constantly talk that came from Donald Trump. Of course not, because there aren't any. Which begs people to ask what the motivation was to do this. And everybody and even Jesse Waters on Fox News seemed to echo my sentiment by saying, I think it's going to be a preface for something to come, a precursor for some sort of activity by the that's freaking me out now. There's something else I got to fix. Something done by the left, the Democrats, the establishment. They won't let Trump govern, and the Republicans shouldn't be helping them. I like Marjorie Taylor Greene. She could do whatever the fuck she wants, but I disagree with any of her tactics or anybody on the right. If you really believe in this country and the Constitution, we have to be cohesive behind Donald Trump and get him to do whatever. You know, you can urge him, but going against Trump and, you know, you're too big for your britches because you're a congresswoman and saying that Trump's got to do this, Trump's got to do that, well, then talk to him, you know, and maybe he doesn't want to talk to you. He's got his own agenda. But the problem is not become divisive within your own party when we just got the fucking coalition working. We're chasing out all the fucking establishment fucks like Mitch McConnell. We got the other ones like John Thune to work with us. Give me a fucking break. And you're pissing and moaning over Epstein. All the relative files, the incriminating ones anyway, are probably long gone by now. That's the way intelligence works. You know, if you didn't subpoena that shit for public release immediately after it was seized, or immediately after his death, because as soon as he died, there would be no criminal case. There's no need to keep that shit private. You want to redact the victims, the girls? Fine. Everyone else is fair game. But we knew this was a friggin' hole that all this shit was going to go into. And for you to have a beef with the president of the United States because he wasn't releasing the Epstein files? Fucking A. Anyway, outgoing Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene says she won't endorse anyone in special election to replace her. But the problem is, she goes on to say, I truly support the wonderful people of Georgia, the 14th district where she's from, and want them to pick their representative. So she's given it up so they can just vote. You're going to allow them because, mind you, Georgia still hasn't fixed their mail-in ballot scheme. So you're just going to give it up to the Democrats. You fuck. And I liked her, but why would you do that? Why wouldn't you pick a successor? Fucking Judas. It's one thing to leave, but it's like you're burning that in the house as you're walking out. PJ Media has the headline, Marjorie Taylor Greene's exit is a warning to Republicans. Indeed it is. You want to redact the victims, the girls? Once Greene leaves, everyone else is fair game. That majority will was down to 5 seats and there are other retirements coming until her vacancy and others was going to go into. Greene for you to have a beef with the president of the United States 2-1 margin to Republicans. He wasn't releasing the Epstein files, holding her seat. So I guess her district is truly Republican, which is great, or maybe it's just her. It better not go to a Democrat. Yeah. Midterms usually go poorly for the party in power. And that's what I mean is like, this is not the time for infighting. If you wanted to wait till after the midterms, fucking go for it. But people are dumb. Who said politicians were smart? Lawyers or otherwise. Yeah, I got to figure out that tech issue. That's fucked up. Fox News, Trump signs executive order targeting certain Muslim Brotherhood fucking chapters as terrorist groups. Executive order cites... it's one thing to leave, but it's like your group's attacks on Israel following October 7th, 2023 assault. Well, the Muslim Brotherhood is bad news. It's one of the oldest jihadist Islamic militant groups. And it's very likely it runs most of the other ones. It started in Egypt, quickly spread to Pakistan. Saudi Arabia doesn't even allow it in their country. So it's problematic. Obviously. It shouldn't have been allowed in the first place. If you want to debate CARE, I think there's a better case to saying CARE is more of a community organization than supporter of terrorism. But even them, it's speculative. But definitely the Muslim Brotherhood. No one remembers, a lot of people don't remember Zakawi. Was it Zakawi? Zawiri. Dr. Zawiri, I think it was. He was like the lieutenant to Osama bin Laden. But nobody ever remembers him. And he was the leader of Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt. And he was one of the ones that, during the Arab Spring, when they installed the Islamic Republic in Egypt, and they were throwing gays off roofs and burning churches and everything. The guy before Sisi, the hell is his name? Anyway, they made it an Islamic Republic, and the people didn't like it, so they begged the military to have a coup, which they did. Moving back to, it's problematic. The Red-Green Alliance. It shouldn't have been allowed in the first place. Leftist Portland activist charged with threatening if you want to go after agents, if you want to debate assaulting their wives. I think there's... FBI Portland says on October 14th saying John Paul Cupp threatened to kill federal agents, supporter of terrorism, assault their wives, and but even them, it's their children. If you look at the picture here, a lot of people don't remember Zakawi. The guys, with a beard and a turban. Zawiri. Dr. Zawiri. You have to understand he was like that lieutenant to Osama bin Laden. But nobody communists ever remembers him. To use the anarchists. And he was like the leader of the Islamic Brotherhood. The Islamists like to use the communists. Egypt. And the anarchists like,
And
to
he
use
was one of the ones
that
Islamicists like to use the
was when
anarchists
during the Arab
and the
Spring when
communists
they installed the
to
Islamic
change
Republic
the
in
government.
Egypt. And they were throwing gays
So
off
it's easier
roofs
for
and burning
them
churches and
to
everything.
take hold.
The guy before
Because
Sisi,
Islam is not
the
only a
hell is his
religion,
name?
it's also a political movement.
Anyway, it was they made it an
People don't wanna
Islamic
talk about
Republic,
that.
and the people didn't like it.
More
so
headlines.
they begged the military to
New
have a
York
coup.
Post, DHS moves to deport criminal illegal alien who threw coffee at Florida mom and baby.
Moving
over
back
unleashed
to,
dog.
and I'm sorry I don't have the text here with this. I was going to grab it. Like I said, I'm having technical issues. I had technical issues. I got new tech, right? I have to appreciate Ronaldus magnanimous. The Democrats are now saying we need to follow the Constitution. You mean just like they told us to follow science 3 years ago? Yeah, they don't. It's all with the Elisa Slotkin thing addressing Ronaldus magnanimous on Rumble, on the chat and the live stream. Like PJ Media said about Elisa Slotkin, it's doublespeak. They the Affordable Care Act was not affordable. The Inflation Reduction Act actually increased inflation. The Green New Deal harms the environment. Everything they do is really, everything they say they're going to do really turns out the exact opposite. And everybody's surprised of the supposed unforeseen consequences of progressive action. It's everywhere. Moving on, Zero Hedge. Why did Democrats suddenly go quiet on the Epstein files? Get Florida mom and baby. Well,
moving back to,
and I'm sorry,
why
I don't
did
have
Democrats
the text
suddenly
here
go
with
quiet
this.
on the Epstein files?
I went.
Democrats whipped themselves
like
into
I said,
a
I'm
frenzy.
having technical issues. I had trying to manufacture a gotcha moment for President Trump and the GOP over the Epstein files. According to Bloomberg data, though, the headline count on MSM for Epstein erupted on the day when President Trump signed a spending bill to reopen the federal government after the Democrats caved. This was nothing more than a deflection by the Democrats. It's going to be dribbled out under the under the purview of Pam Bondi. So we knew what happened before when she promised to do it. So I'm sure the Democrats aren't expecting much. Even if Trump leaves office, I'm sure they're not going to expect very much. Just the News has the headline, Reduction Act.
Michigan wasted millions on deceased
inflation.
Medicaid enrollees.
The Green New Deal harms the environment. Everything they do,
Michigan made
is really everything they say they're going to do.
40 million
really
in
turns out the
Medicaid payments. The
exact
deceased
opposite. And everybody's
enrollees over a 2-year
surprised
period a decade
of the
ago.
supposed
The total of
unforeseen consequences.
250
of
million
action.
spent across
It's everywhere.
14 states.
Holy shit. I think we went over this once already. I mean, the problem is with social welfare payments is they're fucking scammed. As soon as you're writing checks to somebody, somebody's going to figure out a way to scam it. It happened during COVID. It will happen during UBI. It will happen in Medicaid, in Medicare, in SNAP, everything. If the government is sending out checks, people are going to figure out how to commit fraud. I really need to check something out here. I have to figure out a way. I can't get this monitor up from Rumble where I'm multicasting. And I think I quit. Let's just see. Oh, there it is. Yeah, I'm not liking Safari. I don't know if anybody uses Mac and uses Safari. Every time I use Safari, I hate it. To be honest with you, I liked Firefox. I was used to it. I never had any trouble with crap. Let's see if I can't get this feed. I'll have to monitor it during. Hold on.
I'll have to monitor it on BitChute. Here it gives me picture in picture. For some reason in Safari, the monitor in Rumble, wouldn't play picture in picture. So that's all here. Thanks for bearing with me there. At least now I can see what the fuck I'm doing. Okay. Moving on with the headlines. And plus, you know, I'm adjusting to all this new friggin' tech. So where were we here? Sorry. Friggin' tech.
crap.
So we're learning together. And that's what we try to do here when we read the news. I'm going to bombshell Biden. This is Fox News headline.
Sorry.
Bombshell report alleges Biden team forced. We're learning together on that's what we try to do. I don't know if you remember during the Biden administration. Bombshell Biden. This is Fox News headline. Bombshell report alleges Biden team. And I have to mute this channel in each scene. So sorry about the audio there. What the fuck? More troubleshooting to do. In any case, Ted Cruz, senator from Texas, says administration allowed improperly vetted individuals to fly through the U.S. while diverting air marshals. It's all true. Nobody was really vetted, and they were flooding the country with just like Trump is trying to get rid of as many people as he can during his administration, the Biden administration was trying to let in. Now, how devious is this? It's not, hey, we like people. There are people showing at our border, so we're going to see if we can't let them in just to give them a shot at life, right? But you would have to be measured, right? If it wasn't part of agenda and you were just trying to be rational or be compassionate or whatever, you'd have a measured response. Yeah, we're going to let in as many people as we can, but we can't risk national security or safety. Biden administration didn't do that. They flung open the doors. They told all the other countries, yo, come to the United States. Populations of the world come to the United States. If you could get to Central or South America, you'll be able to get here. And they did. But then once they got here, they facilitated their movement about the country. They put them on buses. They gave them those little manila folders with cash and a cell phone and a debit card and free plane tickets. Where do you want to go? Sent them wherever they wanted to go. And during the interim, they were homeless effectively. So they would sleep in the airports and such. I think completely illegal, and you don't import people that don't have money because what are they going to do as soon as they get here? Even if they eventually find work and support themselves, their initial time here, they're going to be on the dole. Yes. Everything with tech. That's my whole life. I've had to troubleshoot shit. That's why I'm good at doing it, I guess. Or technically proficient, I should say. There are a lot of other people out there who know more. So the Biden administration allegedly pressured U.S. airports to house migrants despite warnings that it could come to the United States and put travelers at risk. I'm good at doing Populations it, of the word 47-page document flight risk get to Central and South America. You'll be alleges the White House directed the Department of Transportation. So the Biden administration got to house Biden administration federal motor to the United States travelers. So I'm good at doing it. 47-page document flight risk cash and administration to find airport facilities for shelters or processing centers for migrants. So there was more than just the airports. Abandoned hangars and things like this were all used as well. According to the report, the administration
or instructed DOT and FAA to inventory available facilities, just what I said, at both federally owned and local airports and divert federal resources to support, divert federal resources. So it wasn't even that they were on the dole. We were spending federal dollars on their admission and to transport them around the country. Post-millennial, breaking: Ukraine agrees to U.S. brokered peace deal report. There are some minor details to be sorted out, but they have agreed to a peace deal because they had no, they have no cards. They had no, they had no cards. Ukraine has no cards. Everybody knows the history of this by now. I don't want to digress and by going into that. So it started out as the plan for Gaza was a 20-point plan. They started with that. They had to go up to a 28-point plan. And then Ukraine agrees to the foundation of the plan, but not to every 28 points. So they're going to have to work it out. But it's a good start. New York Post has the article, U.S. Ukraine agree a new 19-point. So it went down from 28 to 19-point peace plan, that vastly different from Trump's previous one, according to reports, which means Ukraine has agreed to some, but not all of Russia's demands. So it's going to have to be worked out. That's what negotiations are for. Hopefully Trump isn't dragged along, but it looks good. Let's go to the text. Ukraine has agreed to some. A new version of the peace plan worked out around all of Russia's demands. So Washington, it's going to have to be worked out. That's proving more palatable because they had no, hopefully, and would remove several provisions that they had no. Go to the tribe by U.S. officials. Ukraine has agreed to some. A new version of the peace plan worked out around all of Russia's demands. Washington, it's going to have to be worked out. That's moving more palatable because they had no. The new plan, said to include about 19 points, would nix one of the most controversial provisions of the 28-point plan. Reported last week that Ukraine would have to give up territory in the Donbass. They wouldn't agree to that right away. That Russia had been unable to conquer more than 11 years of war there. So it would be a surrendering of territory the Russians haven't conquered, even if it's in the Donbass, which is fine. My problem is if it's an enclave, that could prove difficult to administer. Instead of the issue of the territorial claims will be left to President Donald Trump, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to hammer out at a later date. There's no way to remove Russian troops from the area they're in. And even if you had a way to do it, it wouldn't result in peace. So you just have to give up the territory that Russia conquered. And Russia conquered, as I said 100 times, that Russia said, if you're going to move NATO into Ukraine, then we're going to take part of Ukraine for a buffer zone, including Crimea, to help protect our Black Sea fleet, which is their only warm water port, which means the only one that isn't frozen by ice. Although they do have one in the northern Pacific coast. I'm not going to get into that right now, but it's very remote. What they have in the Black Sea is crucially important strategically for Russia. If you care about, the sovereignty of other countries, whatever. More headlines. What it would be surrendering the Black Sea calls Trump crucially important. The Russians will move to discuss even if it's in and Ukraine. If you care about, my problem is if it's not. Beijing is pushing its position that Taiwan should return to the mainland while Trump steers a conversation to Ukraine peace talks. All he's asking Xi is to back the peace talks. Publicly and privately, preferably, but publicly. It would go a long way. We're not surrendering Taiwan. And Taiwan isn't full of Taiwanese, it's full of Chinese. That's the free Chinese that fled communist China. Why would you want to flee communism if it's so great? Why do they not want to go back? You saw what happened to Hong Kong, or did you? Maybe not. This. All right, we're going to move. We're going to move to one of the final headlines here, but it's important because if you've been talking at all about what was that Obama movie on Netflix? Leave the World Behind, something like that. Okay, so you have to look at this as a series. Leave the World Behind. Remember that one? You should watch all these, probably in a row, too. Take a weekend, maybe over Thanksgiving. Leave the World Behind. Civil War. Or, actually, it should be Leave the World Behind. What's the new one with Leo DiCaprio? Another Battle, or Another Battle to Fight or something. I forget the title. And then Civil War. And then this one. House of Dynamite. Battle. So great. Catherine Bigelow, want to go back. Another Battle to Fight. You saw what happened to Hong Kong. Her latest movie offers insights into an increasingly dangerous world. And then this one. Now, I did have another article with this, with some text but I'll flesh it out myself. Because I read them and I didn't include them. I just, like I said, I'm juggling all this shit and I got this another tech problem here. It's driving me crazy. All right, so there are all these movies, right? It's obviously part of a plan, and the plan is American Civil War. Why? The reason why is to make way for the future. And the future involves world government, which means a totalitarian world government, which means the restriction of your civil rights. What we know as individual rights. You don't get them as a group, you get them as a people. American people. One of those rights is the ownership of firearms. The Chinese and others, leftists in Europe, have tried to get America to tell their citizens they can't have guns. But the citizens want guns and don't want to give it up. Obviously, for obvious reasons. So the only tactic to defeat America, hence defeating the guaranteed of individual rights, the guarantee. So it has to be civil war. And the thing is, it's a wonderful idea because there's so many guns in the hands of citizens that they can actually just kill themselves in a civil war. And that'll just help the transition. And of course, the new America will not have a constitution. See what we are, we're a democratic constitutional republic. So democracy is the way we arrive at a representative government that is controlled by the people through the process of democracy. And that's how we arrive at laws. Whatever, democracy. Democracy isn't going to guarantee your individual rights. And all the people talking about fucking the Constitution are telling people that don't know anything about the Constitution that military service members should uphold the Constitution. Most people never read, most people can't read at an adult level. And they don't know what it means. They don't have discernment, comprehension. So the Constitution says, what the Constitution is why we're a constitutional republic is, oh, all these people get to do X, Y, Z. You get to do this, and these people get to, that's not how it works. What the Constitution says, and that's why it starts with the Bill of Rights, each individual person, ideally, citizen, technically, gets these rights. Can't take them away for no fucking reason unless you conquer the country. And that's what they're going to get rid of
But they're going to get rid of the Constitution in a sense of, in a mundane sense. Like people talk about the Constitution like they do now, but they don't abide by the Constitution. President Biden didn't abide by the Constitution. Now, if you're saying that Donald Trump, if he's striking foreign drug boats, is that unconstitutional? It doesn't say. And actually, it was the Democrats and the establishment that empowered the executive branch to have the unlimited power it did. The establishment was building a dictatorship within the presidency, and that's why they didn't want Trump to get in. Going back to the movies, right? So the only way to defeat America is civil war, because then you don't have to worry about insurgency. So, I mean, you're not going to roll 1 million Chinese troops in here. I mean, the Chinese would love to do that, but that's not how you're going to do it. You're going to divide it. You're going to fill it with lies. It's a mind war. And that's exactly what people are falling into now. You have to be cohesive. Every American is your brother or sister. You have to understand, if you want freedom, everybody talks about fucking slavery 150 years ago. I'm talking about contemporary right now. If you want to be free, what protects your freedoms, your liberties, in a political sense, is the Constitution. It applies to you. It's like the Bible. It applies to you. It's not some out there we're arguing about whether Trump is being constitutional or the government is doing unconstitutional things. Bring forth the individuals whose rights have been trampled upon. And remember, your rights only go as far as somebody else's rights. Right? So your rights can't violate someone else's rights. So it's a protective bubble of freedom that's around you. And it's created by the document of the U.S. Constitution. Democracy only means that's the way you come to an agreement on law and representative. You can change the Constitution, but it's hard to do legally, legislatively. All right. How do we do here? A little less than an hour. Sorry if they're having tech problems. This one channel I got an echo coming in. I don't know. It's going to take me a while to troubleshoot that. So. Oh, yeah. Well, I have to. Yeah, it's an audio thing I'm going to have to figure out. All right. Thanks for joining me today. All right. Thanks. All right. See you.
can't handle the truth.